What if you could increase the value of your Magic the Gathering collection without spending a dime? Well, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie, and I hope you're having yourself a great day. I hope that you had yourself a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for clicking this video and for being here. I hope we have a lot of fun together. Today, I want to talk about your Magic the Gathering collection and the cards that you play with, or the cards that you collect, or the cards that you invest in, and how I believe you can increase the value of those collections without spending a dime. And I'm not even going to try to sell you anything today. Magic and Pokemon and the collectible card hobby is unique in that when you spend money, in a lot of ways, you get money back. You get value back out of the things that you're doing. Cards, they don't have zero value. You don't spend your money and your $4 for your booster pack is completely worthless, or your collection is completely worthless. It actually retains value decently well for a hobby. It's kind of incredible. So there are ways that you can take advantage of this fact for the collectible hobby and actually increase the value of your collection, and you can get to a point where you don't have to spend money on your hobby anymore, and you can just kind of self-sustain it, and that's a really cool place to be. So I want to talk about that a little bit. Some people don't care at all about the value of their cards or value of their collection. They just want game pieces to play with, and that's great. But unfortunately, in the world of Magic the Gathering at least, Wizards of the Coast just keeps increasing the price point of boxes and keeps increasing the price point of their cards and their game. So if you want to be in this hobby, maybe you have to do some work in order to fund it for yourself to be able to afford this stuff. And I think this stuff is going to be pretty interesting for you. So the best part, it doesn't have to cost you anything. So let's get into it. And if you are a player or a collector or an investor, whether you're any of those things, I think there's still going to be a lot of good stuff for you here that we can chat about. And I would love to hear those of you who are more on, I've started a business with this and I've done a lot of this, but I'm sure there are people watching who are even further along this process than I am. I would love to hear your comment section. I would love to hear your comments in the comment section below, and share this to somebody who also could give some comments as well. So there are a few things you can focus on to multiply what you already have invested and collected in your decks and in Magic the Gathering. First off, you have to open up a back door to your collection. Now, we all buy packs, right? We all buy singles for our new Commander deck or for our new Modern deck or whatever. We all have the front door for purchasing Magic the Gathering is pretty large. We all buy stuff and accumulate cards. You have to have a way to open up the back door of your house and allow those cards to go out in order to fund your stuff. And there's a couple of different options for this. First off, anybody that ever tells you to collect or invest in Magic the Gathering should be telling you that you have to have some sort of an exit strategy. If you're buying stocks or bonds, you can hit a button and sell the stocks or bonds. If you're going to collect, frankly, if you're going to play Magic the Gathering, you are investing in Magic the Gathering, right? You are spending money. You should have an option or a way to sell your cards on the back end of that, or at least move your cards on the back end of that. Stores will do that, whatever. But I highly recommend creating a TCG player account. Now, anybody can have a TCG player account. You do not have to be a store or anything like that. A lot of people stick to just using Facebook or Discord marketplaces. And a lot of people will just use eBay. Now, why I like TCG Player is that it's a lot of, it's some work up front, but it's less work on the day-to-day. So on Facebook, if I'm gonna sell my cards on Facebook, I have to constantly be posting and getting it back up to the top of the thread. I have to constantly be, taking pictures and selling and communicating with the buyers. Whereas on TCG Player, all I have to do is list the cards in the correct condition, and it goes out to a marketplace and whatever. And even at level 4 for TCG Player, it will automatically price those cards however I tell it to price. Now, eBay, again, you have to create every listing individually. You have to do all these things. So I highly recommend utilizing TCG Player. Now, you're going to pay a fee for that, right? But at the end of the day, it's going to save you a lot of time. This is not an ad for TCG Player, sorry. It's going to save you a lot of time, and it's going to also allow you to move more cards in volume without spending a lot of work. So, you have to create a way to move your cards, whatever you're most comfortable with doing. I also have a TCG Player affiliate link. If you buy cards, click that link in my description. It does help the channel out like that. Now, here's a kicker. A lot of you guys, this doesn't matter for you, but for a chunk of you, you have families. And one of the coolest things you can do when you do this kind of having that backdoor, whether it's on Facebook or eBay or TCG Player, is to create your own personal card funding PayPal account. Now, PayPal, actually, you can have a account number and a routing number, so you can use your PayPal account as your direct deposit for TCG Player, or you can just do it on Facebook or whatever, and you can actually have your own little bank account within PayPal that doesn't interact with your personal account at all. So you can have money coming in and money going out without it affecting your personal finances, and you can keep all that stuff tightly knit in your PayPal checking account. Now, I don't know, I know there's some talk about taxes and stuff like that. This is not a tax video. Go talk to your personal advisor about that. But I found before I started my business that having a PayPal account allowed me to see what I was actually spending and what I was actually making on my hobby of collecting cards. So I would really highly recommend you do that. So you've got your TCG Player account, or you got your Facebook account, or you've got your eBay account all set up. You've done all the work. What do you sell, right? How do you do this? Well, I highly recommend. I actually believe that if you were to go into your collection, you have a ton of $3 to $4 to $5 to $10 cards, anything in that range, from $1.50 to $10. That range of cards, I believe, are highly susceptible to, they're high risk cards. If it's under $10, if it gets reprinted as a rare in a master set, or if it gets, heaven forbid, it gets downshifted to an uncommon from a $3 or $4 card, it's just gonna lose all its value. So I personally would not hold on to any cards that are not in your commander decks or your decks or whatever that are under $10. That's where I would start when you are creating a TCG Player account or whatever. And you can actually utilize those cards to get yourself up to level 4 on TCG Player, which opens up a whole suite of things like mass pricing and bulk editing and that kind of stuff. It's really good. That should be your first goal in this whole thing if you do the TCG Player route. So it allows you to get that whole chunk. In addition, the alternative to all of this, the alternative to creating a backdoor for your card game collection, is that when you get bored of Magic the Gathering, when you get bored of collecting Pokemon cards, you're one of those guys that gets on Facebook and makes a post that's like, hey, I have a $10,000 collection. Does anybody want to buy it? And the only people who have $10,000 to buy your collection full of $3 to $5 cards are not going to be offering you $10,000 for those cards. And so you utilize this to get rid of a lot of that. It's not bulk, but the bulkier, lighter weight, less value cards. And I really believe if you just did that and stopped at that and you kept all of your cards over $10, whatever, you would actually be able to afford, from just selling your cards under $10, some really cool collectible pieces. You could maybe get a dual land, or that guy's cradle you've always wanted, or you could actually up the level of cards that you get, and maybe that's just your goal, right? Maybe the goal is not to start a business or have the efficiency, but it's just to get a really cool card rather than having a bunch of cards sitting on your table. So that's the second thing, is get rid of that kind of $10 to $0 cards, right? You move the lower end stuff first and get your feet wet in learning the processes, and then you can kind of evaluate what other cards from your collection you want to do. I always look at, whenever I want to build a new commander deck, one of the things I do is I say, which one of my 10 commander decks, 20 commander decks have I not played and do I not like anymore? I just list that whole commander deck, and then that's kind of my budget for buying my new commander deck. And so you just kind of recycle through, and you never actually spend money, and you get to play with the cards that you actually want. All right, third point. Do not be married to sealed boxes. I know Rudy fans, you're going to be upset with me on that, but sealed boxes are much more difficult to move. They sell at a far lower rate, which causes, the demand is far lower, which causes the prices to be lower. Additionally, they are more expensive to ship, and usually you are going to be paying the shipping costs on this stuff. Listen, TCG Player, eBay, everybody who is selling sealed boxes, for I would guess 90% of the people who are actually selling the boxes are offering free shipping, which is off the top an extra $10 off of your net profit. It's going to cost you $10 basically to ship a box, roughly. Additionally, you're going to pay the 15% fees on TCG Player or on eBay, and so it's just a lot more difficult to move. The demand is lower, as well as the cost to moving it. Now, there are benefits to sealed boxes. I collect, I invest, or whatever. I have sealed boxes as a store, as a whatever, but I have learned that they're also incredibly difficult to not only sell, but also when you move your house or when you move your location or when you do whatever, it's just a pain to travel with all this stuff. If you do not have the infrastructure in place to store and to keep all this stuff, it's just kind of a little bit silly to be doing. Maybe you buy your favorite sets so that you can draft them in the future or whatever, or maybe you buy a couple to keep as an investment in 5 years. But at the end of the day, I really believe that single cards are way more efficient of a process for this than keeping sealed boxes on the long term. On the back end of that, you also have some business expenses of keeping inventory and that kind of stuff, depending on your state, that is really difficult when you have that much sealed product in hand. So again, sealed product not susceptible to reprints, which is kind of nice, but the demand just isn't there. All right. If you can do this, if you can create a TCG Player account, if you can create an eBay account, if you can work on Facebook, I know a lot of people do that. I don't mean to just poo-poo on the Facebook stuff. If you can do that, you can fund your own hobby, which I think is incredibly freeing. It's freeing for your family, it's freeing for your future. It's a great way to interact with this hobby. And additionally, if you can be efficient enough with this, you can actually turn this into a place where the rest of the people around you who play Magic the Gathering, who are too lazy, or maybe they don't have the drive and the work ethic to actually pull this off and to do this, they're going to be coming to you to sell their cards. And then that's when things really pick up, where somebody says, hey man, I have a collection and it's worth $3,000. What will you give it to me? And a store is going to offer them 40% for it. Maybe you can offer them 50, 60%, and you can actually make some significant money doing this kind of stuff because you have the infrastructure beneath you to set that up. And I think there's a lot going on with that, and it's very important to think about that. Listen, at the end of the day, you have two options. You can create an infrastructure and a backdoor to your collection now, and over the next 5 to 10 years, you can slowly start to be more efficient with it and get the cards you want and do the things you want to do with the hobby. Or you could be stuck just investing more and more money. Every time you want to buy a commander deck, you can spend more money. And then at the end of the day, you're going to have this large collection that costs a lot of money, it has very limited buyers, and you're going to end up struggling to sell it. I highly recommend, if you're going to be invested in this hobby, if you're going to spend time building decks and collecting cards and actually loving this hobby of Magic the Gathering or whatever card game you're talking about, you have to create a backdoor for your collection in order to self-sustain and self-invest in your own stuff. So it takes work, but it's actually a lot of fun. You can tell I'm getting a little excited about it. I love the whole process of taking cards and selling cards and moving through collection and going through that stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a whole nother layer, a whole nother deepness of this hobby that is just so much fun. And how lucky are we that we're involved in a hobby that allows yourself to create a way to pay for it. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. I appreciate you guys for watching the video. Thank you to all the patrons. Thank you to all the people who support the channel by hitting the like button, subscribing, and sharing with their friends. It's been a lot of fun. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Have yourselves a great day, and remember, it's not about making money. It's not about winning games. It's all about the interactions that you have with each other. So remember to be kind to the people around you, and we'll see you again next video.